Greetings all. Hope you've been well. I'm going to try and get through a few things briefly today, and then I'll be on my way again. I've been having a lot of questions about the prototype and the progress. I'm going to give you a short demonstration today and keep you up to speed to where I'm at and what's coming next. But first, I need to make a spiritual declaration. There's a growing number of people, not only my local friends but online as well, who are under the impression that I seem to think I'm Jesus Christ. I've even had some people who are calling me Jesus Christ now. So I want to be very clear and direct when I say this. I am only an aspect of Jesus Christ. I'm only a small portion, a cell within the body that makes up Christ. And everybody who has the same heart and mind and alignment and virtue and honor and truth within them is also a part of Jesus Christ. You look at all these deities over history that are, seen as gods. Many of us as people come together to create that one entity that is that divine, omnipotent God being. So, let me be very clear. I'm not Jesus Christ. I am only the messenger, and I am only a portion of Jesus Christ. I'm only a small cell that makes up the being that is Jesus Christ. So, I wanted to be very clear on that and clear up any confusion. People who go around saying they're Jesus Christ are often seen as the Antichrist. So, I want to be very clear about that, everybody. So, I'll clear that up. Not Jesus Christ, just a portion of him. So, let's get on to the amplifier. Okay, first I'll show you the wire. Thank you to my investor for helping me obtain this wire. We have 10 pounds of 24 gauge magnet wire here. This should be enough, I figure, to get all the coils done I need. I will need 17 of them to create this device. This is an example of the coils, Rodin coil. Basically what's going to be happening is we're going to have this base, and there's going to be another 4 magnets underneath here which are anchored by the pull force alone, and spaced just enough to where the force from the capstone magnet, which is going to be spinning up here, does not pull these 4 up into it. So with 4 more down here, it'll keep these anchored and still spinning while minimizing friction from the spin. And eventually I'll probably be using a fiberglass instead of this wood. This is just, this is trial and error going on right now. So you have your coil in the capstone and you have your magnet spinning and you have it plugged into the wall. And because the top magnet is spinning, these 4 spin based on geomagnetics. I've demonstrated this in a prior video. If this one spins up here, these 4 will spin down below with the right spacing. So now, when you run a magnet over copper wire, you get electricity. So if we have this one spinning from the wall with electricity, these 4 will spin without any additional electricity. So you put a coil around each of these, you connect a capacitor to the output of the coil, and bingo, you've got 400% over unity energy. So as I continue to experiment with this, the application is changing, and it's becoming more efficient. So I've recently had the idea to apply the philosophy of as above, so below. If we have 4 down here that spin, with 4 more underneath, that's 8. Let's take another 8 and put them up top. So you want to envision the pyramid like this. You got 4 at the base, capstone, and then it goes out into 4 more on top. So now you have another base on top with 4 magnets spinning. And to keep these from falling or being sucked into the capstone, you've got 4 more above it. So in essence, you've got 17 coils, and 16 of them are producing electricity without any additional input. That's pretty significant over unity energy there. With a few capacitors, it wouldn't take long for you to have unlimited energy. These are the magnets I will be using for the 16 points. They're a bit larger than the old ones I had, so they should be producing more electricity. And it's going to get pretty hot, I figure. So what I'm in the process of doing now is trying to acquire a lathe, because these Fisher-Price rings, the new ones that are out in the stores now, they're really flimsy. They're not like the old ones. They're not thick at all. And I figure the wire is going to get too hot and it's going to melt it. So I figure with a lathe, I can get a hardwood like maple, which doesn't burn at at a high temperature. And then I can create the rings I will need with the lathe to the precise specifications. I would use metal, but with metal, it'd be difficult to wind the coil because you have to have 10 degrees in between each of these pins to wind the coil correctly. And with metal, I'd have to weld 10 beads, or excuse me, 36 beads at each point. And that would be an extreme, task, especially when I need 17 of them. So I figure with wood, it should work. And the temperature for the wire is 155 degrees C. And I think maple burns above that. So it should, in theory, be okay. With a hardwood like maple, it should work. So if you know anybody with a lathe who's looking to get rid of it, send them my way, because I need a lathe. That's the next step in getting this going, is acquiring a lathe. And, okay, lastly, I just want to talk about, the results of this prototype, what this is going to lead to. For a long time now, humanity has been reliant upon the hierarchy for law, for structure, for order, for sustainability. And that's why they continue to take away our liberty and put us under their thumb and enslave us, is because they know we need that. Humanity is now coming to a point where it's going to finally realize it's no longer needed. If people start to see that they can power their own homes without having to pay for electrical utility, that will lead to a whole new wave of spiritual enlightenment for everybody. They'll start thinking, hey, if we don't have to pay for electrical utility anymore, maybe we can provide our own water. Maybe we can provide our own clothes. Maybe we can provide our own food. And that's what's going to lead to the liberation from government. Humanity is like a spoiled child. It's dependent upon the government's support. And the government is like the wicked parent, It gives humanity, which is the children, just enough of what they need to keep them from thinking outside the box and thinking that, hey, maybe our metaphorical parents are not being completely honest with us, which they're not, and we all know that. More and more people are disgusted with the state of affairs in the world right now, and they're looking for a solution. But many simply don't have the time for a solution because they're stuck in that hamster wheel. They're so tired from working and everything else, they just want to get home and go to bed. They don't have time to study. They don't have the ambition or the knowledge to learn and actually produce something that can create a greater world for us all, because they're stuck in that rat race. And it's the older generation that's really, really hurting us right now, because they don't see beyond their own lifetime. As soon as their life ends, everything that they created ends. In their own mind, they say, well, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. Why does it matter? Why should I care? Well, you should care, because your children and your grandchildren are going to be the ones who have to tackle that head on. So saying you don't care is like saying you don't care about your children or your grandchildren. I say that to everybody who says, oh, it won't happen in my lifetime. Well, that's the same as saying you give up on your children, the future. And it is. It really is. And when you say that to them, they kind of think about it for a minute. And hopefully it's enough to change their attitude. But for the most part, it's not. They're so indoctrinated. They're so lost in the matrix. They don't see any way out, and they don't care about the future, even if it is their children. Once they're done, they check out, their job is done. And that's the greatest problem with humanity we have now. One of the greatest problems is that the lack of ambition. You see, the hierarchy, the Illuminati, they work over lifetimes of generations. They go from one generation to the next. All the knowledge, all the goals, all the production is passed on to the next generation. They're all bound into that pyramid. And that's why they have an advantage on us, because they've been doing this for thousands of years. Same thing with money. It's been accepted for thousands of years, and even though it's unjust, it's corrupt, it causes problems, and it causes greed, because it's been accepted so long, everybody just continues on. Because they have that narrow sight. This is my lifetime, this is all that I am. No. You need to start looking at what you can accomplish over more than your own lifetime. You need to look at not only goals for yourself, but goals for your children, goals for your grandchildren. Because this is what Illuminati has done for a long time. And guess what? It's worked. So, the system works. It's a brutal, archaic system, but it works. And when humanity finally becomes self-sustaining, and they finally kick out these parasites, they're going to go elsewhere. They're going to go to another world where they're needed. That's how this whole cosmic game works, everybody. You're always where you need to be when you need to be, even if it seems that you shouldn't be there. Myself, I struggle with it every day. Why am I still here? You know, why has nobody listened to the truth that I've spent years studying and have evidence to back up? And the only reason I come to is that I'm needed. I'm the only one that can actually make this happen and not sell out to a corporate entity. Because that's what the government is. It's a corporate entity. There is no government. It's only corporations. So, I think I've rambled enough for today. I guess that'll be it for everyone. And I love you all. And I hope to keep you updated on the next progress. Hopefully within a month or so. I've got my child coming soon, so you may not hear from me for a while, but the child comes first. You know, I don't get to see her very much at all, and I need to be with her. She needs to be with her father as well. So I love you all very much, and I hope you be well.